Aloha mai kākou, o tutumen ke ia o Kawaikapuokalani. Today's class we have two parts. I'm going to speak about two different mele. We went over this mele a little bit last class, which was Tuesday, and I did say that we were going to go over it a little bit more today. That mele is HoʻOmau kahakuana, HoʻOmau no kahakuana. The second mele, which is going to be part 2, is ʻIKE kai. So we have several things to discuss today. So I'm going to sing the mele, and after I'm done, we're going to go verse by verse in translating the mele to be able to glean those beautiful words that were chosen precisely to share the message about composing. E hoʻomau no kahakuana la o kale. Mai ka hoʻomaka a ka hoʻopau, e haku I ka lei maka mai. E haku I ka lei maka mai. E apo I nā pua like ole, e apo I nā pua ala. E apo I nā pua kukahi kanani, no ka hakuana o kou lei mai ole. No ka hakuana o kou lei mai ole. Iha! E ho'o haku kou lei, me ka ʻike no e au kahiko. He lei mo o lelo, mai nā kupuna mai. He velo mau me ka pono. He velo mau me ka pono. Pono no ka uhana, ka haiana me ka puana. Ulu no ka ʻike, kupu mau no ka haku, o nā lei aloha. Mau no ka hapuana, o nā lei aloha. The last verse, one more time. Pono no kauhana. Pono no kauhana, ka haiana me ka puana. Ulu no ka ʻike, kupu mau no ka haku, o nā lei aloha. Mau no ka haku, o nā lei aloha. Mau no ka haku, o nā lei aloha. Thank you. I think you all need to mute. Somebody was singing along with me. I could hear you in the background. You have to mute. Put yourself on mute, just in case you go flat, yeah?
Okay, I want to join you.
We can both go flat, yeah. Mai kaʻi mahalo. So let's talk about this mele. So the ʻIKE, the vision for this mele, came from the many lectures that we had thus far about haku mele, composing poetry. And I wanted to share this with all of you because some of you are already in the process of haku mele. Some of you are aspiring to haku mele. Some of you are contemplating haku mele. So what is haku, the format? What do we do as haku mele? So you're looking at 50 years of haku mele. That's many years of haku mele. Yeah. So I thought maybe if I could haku a mele, that actually talks about Haku, how to weave a lei, and use the components of Haku, which are exactly the same as MELE, weaving a song. Haku MELE, because what you want at the end, is a beautiful outcome, a beautiful lei, a beautiful poem. What you would like is success. Now, the measurement of that success, that depends on you. Because who are you writing for? Are you writing for your heart? Are you writing for Akua? Are you writing for someone? So that measure of success is really up to you and how you determine that. But for the most part, the song reflects the ho'ohaku, the format and the arranging. So it says, e HoʻOmau. E HoʻOmau is to perpetuate. E HoʻOmau no, indeed, let's perpetuate. Kahakuana, the braiding, the weaving, kahakuana. Kahakuana, the weaving, the braiding. Kahakuana la o ka lei, of a lei. Mai ka ho'omaka. From the moment you start, mai ka ho'omaka. Mai ka ho'omaka a ka ho'opau. Until you complete, until you finish it. A haku, weave, braid, ʻIKE, makamai, a precious lei. So remember when I said whether we're going to weave a flower lei, haku ʻIKE lehua, me ka pala'a, me ka pukiawe, me ka a'ali'i, me ke ia mau pua nani like ole o Hawaii nei. We're going to choose the best flowers, because that lei going to be makamai, going to be so precious. Okay. E like pu me ka hakuana o nā hua olelo I haku ia I ka lei olelo. Just the same as when we take these beautiful, precious words and we weave them into the poetry of words, our MELE. So in the first verse, I'm telling you, that is one of the formats, Not just choose any kind of word. See, ua ulu no au I ka ahupua'o he ia me ka ʻōmau kūpuna. Nakawahano o lākou ka ʻōlelo I kuʻuaha. A'ale au hele I ke kula no ka ia ʻōlelo. Ka noho ana me nā kūpuna I ka hale no o lāua. Ola no ka ʻōlelo Hawaii. ʻōlelo o tutu ia mākou I ka hele kula. ʻōlelo oi I ka ʻōlelo pelekania ka namunamo o ka poʻe haole. Ka hoi mai ano no I ka hale na ono e. ʻōlelo no ia ʻōkou. Ka ʻōlelo Hawaii. No ka mea, ka ʻōlelo Hawaii, kono ʻōlelo. Helu e kahi, ka ʻōlelo mua o kono waha. No kono mau kupuna I ke lo ʻōlelo. So my grandmother always said, when you go to school, okay, you go speak English, but when you come home, I'm going to ʻōlelo to you folks, ʻōlelo Hawaii. And so, we had many. Tutu had so much more opuna, but everybody listen to the ʻōlelo Hawaii that time. Nui no ko aloha no ka ʻōlelo Hawaii. I love to listen to ʻōlelo Hawaii. And I remember so many times when my grandmother said, oh, go call Mrs. Kalua down the road and go order the Vanda orchids. No ka mea, makamaka o tutu e hana I ka lei. I want to make a Vanda orchid lei. Maka ano mauna loa style. Lei punahele o KÖPUNA wahine. So I would call. But as I was calling, I would tell my grandmother, ʻōlelo oi ia'u ka olelo o kou makemake no ko'u olelo aku no I kalua wahine. Hiki no, okay. So I call the number, and then when she answer, and then my grandmother tells me what to say, ka olelo Hawaii. Her order, yeah? And then I would talk to Mrs. Kalua, I ka olelo Hawaii. And then when I pow, I give the phone to my grandma. And then I heard her say, oh, I kela, o ko umo'opuna, oh, maika inoko na olelo. And again, these are the things I used to do with my kupuna wahine. And this is, ya ano ka loa ano ki ia olelo. Ano ko na wahano ki ia olelo. Ka olelo ko umau makuhine anake, ame ko umau makuhine anakala ki ia olelo. Because grandma and her brothers and sisters all spoke olelo. They no he ia no lako, yeah, no ka ohana o komomua. Komomua. Oia no ka ino o ka ohana. No lako I he ia maka aina kuleana. Ola no ka aina kuleana I ki ia manawa. Mahalo ke Hakua. So again, what the words are saying is, this tradition we have to continue. Yeah. And you know, Haku MELE, yeah, is such a remarkable, it's such a beautiful tradition. The style is beautiful. And we have to follow the style of our kupuna. They wrote beautiful songs. They wrote lovely songs, enchanting songs, educational songs, historical songs. They wrote so many different kinds of songs. Maikai kahana analao na kupuna kawamamua. Make sure, like when you're picking these beautiful flowers to make that lei, you're choosing the best words to represent ko mana'o, your thoughts, ko i'ini, ko desires, yeah? I mean, ko makemake, in what you want to reflect, what you want to reflect in your MELE. Okay? That MELE will become like that lei, he lei makamai o na apua like ole, na apua nani like ole, he lei makamai o na olelo nani like ole. A lei of the most beautiful flowers, and you can have one lei of words of the most beautiful words. And again, that's the first part of this MELE. The MELE e HoʻOmau no ka hakuana. E HoʻOmau no ka hakuana. All right. Pauku e lua, e apo ina pua like ole, e apo ina pua a ala, e apo ina pua ku kahi ikanani, no ka hakuana o kou lei mai ole. So the first verse we talked about the lei makamai, the precious lei. Now we come to the lei mai ole, the lei that never fades. And you want that lei never to fade, especially those lei, or that lei of words, lei mai ole. Lei mai ole. So e apo ina pua like ole to seize these many different kinds of flowers. Why did I use the word apo instead of ohi? Because it's not only about gathering the flowers, it's about seizing and retaining the ʻIKE, the knowledge that comes with the olelo of our kupuna. As we take that olelo and ho'ohaku I ke ia lei. Ke ia lei o ka olelo. Ke ia lei o nā pua. Ke ia lei o ka olelo nani like ole. Ke ia lei o nā pua nani like ole. Yeah. So, apo, not only gather and pick, but apo, to seize it, hold it, retain it. You want to retain it. Yeah? Forever and ever. Ola mauloa ko olelo iloko o ka MELE. And your words going to live forever as people sing it, as generations sing it and dance to it. Okay? E apo ina pua a ala. And to seize and retain the pua a ala, like olelo a ala, pua a ala, flowers that have many sweet fragrance. And what do those sweet fragrances do? They attract us. Because ho'okahi hanu I ka ihu, mai ka I ka hanu a ala ia, e a ala puna hele no. When you inhale that fragrance in your nose, and just that one smell, it becomes a favorite smell. You want to smell the avapuhi. You want to hanu ke ala o ka pikake, honi I ka ala o ka pua keni keni, right? Because these smells are attractive. Well, why cannot words have Allah? This character, this likeness, this appearance that draws you in like these beautiful fragrances. Olelo Allah. Mai ka ikela olelo waha, olelo Allah. Pua Allah, olelo Allah. Because, pai no, they are so similar. So very, very similar. So, olelo Allah, pua Allah. Yeah, I like choose the fragrant words, the beautiful words, the words that have ʻIKE hohonu. Some can have ʻIKE papa'u, but some ʻIKE hohonu. Yeah, and that's part of what is going to become eventually the kauna, the hidden meaning of the song. Now remember now, we had a whole lecture about kauna, and what did I say? I don't think it was the composer's intent ever that anybody understand the kauna. We don't need to understand the kauna. It's the hidden meaning. Why write the mele and then give away the kauna? If you had put kauna in your mele, unless you want to, I think what people are really talking about is knowing the mo'olelo, the history of the mele, the purpose, the kumu of the mele, the pilina of the mele, the pono of the mele, but the kauna, those things are hidden in the song for the composer. And maybe one day when the composer gonna share it with you. Yeah, maybe. So it says, e apu ina pua like ole, e apu ina pua a ala, e apu ina pua ku kahi ikanani. Oh, yeah. You know, like when you see the lehua, nothing can compare to the beauty. When you look at the pua ka'ilima, lohi lohi no ikamaka. When you look at all these beautiful flowers, the a'ali'i, oh my goodness, ku kahi ikanani, they stand alone in their beauty. It's like the words that you choose. Choose those beautiful words that best represent your mana'o, your i'ini, your thoughts and your feelings. What represent the person you're writing about, the aina you're writing about, the thought you're writing about. Be hohonu in your thought processes. Hohonu, deep. Ayano ina me huna ikalipo-lipo. Yeah. Those things hidden in the depth. Ayano ika hohonu. Real deep. But if you are determined, hiki no ke holomua. You can holomua. You get good teacher, hiki no ke holomua. If you get kupuna akamai me ka ike no eau, hiki ke holomua. It can be done. Never say never. Tutu said, hiki ke holomua. Holomua me ka ike o ke akua. Holomua me ka ike o nā kupuna. Holomua me ka ike o ka aina. Holomua me ka ike o nā kanaka ke kahi. You can go forward with the wisdom of akua, with the wisdom of kupuna, with the wisdom of the aina, with the wisdom of one another. Hiki ke holomua. E apu ina apua like ole, e apu ina apua a ala, e apu ina apua kukahi ikanani no ka haku ana o kou lei mai ole. And that's where it comes in, because when you pau haku ki ia lei, not only a lei makamai, a precious lei of your words, but a lei mai ole, a lei that will never fade. Ka lei mai ole, ka mele I haku ia, me ka ike no ea o nā kūpuna. Oia ho'i ha. Then we come to the pauku e kolu. Pauku e kolu. E ho'o haku haku koulei, me ka ike no e au ka hiko hiko. He lei mo'o o lelo mai na kūpuna mai, he velo velo mau me ka pono. Yeah, he velo velo mau me ka pono. Ho'o haku haku is to format and arrange in an order. No make it kapakahi. Ale hiki ke haku I ka mele me ka kapakahi. Haku I ka mele me ka ho'o haku. Put everything in its proper place. There is also, in the song, get verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4, verse 5. Okay, that's a format. That's a ho'o haku. Now, what you going to write about in verse 1? What you going to write about in verse 2? What you going to write about in verse 3? What you going to write about in verse 4? Of course, in verse 1, you're going to introduce your mele. What you going to write about? You're going to tell the people. Yeah, you're going to choose that pua for your lei. Your first lei. Your first pua that you put on the lei, that's going to determine the design of your lei. The first mana'o you put into that hakumele, that is going to be the beginning of arrangement of that lei. That's very, very important. From pauku ekahi going bloom, because pauku ekahi is the hiapo on the pauku, the oldest of all the verses, because pauku ekahi, like kahanau ano o kamakahiapo, would open the way for the rest of the verses to be born. Kahanau ano o na pauku eae, because going puka through. And that's why at the end, we come back to the end and we honor the hiapo again, the first verse. Because if not for the hiapo, that when hanau ka ola o ka ia mele, yeah, how the mele would have been born. So when we give the ha'ina, we tell again about the makahiapo, our mana'o, that when born, when hanau ki ia mele. Oia ho'i ha. He mana'o ke lano na po e kupuna na alako no e hana mai ana iau me ki ia ike. That's the people who taught me all of this, who gave birth to all of this ike. So, the first verse is the makahiapo. The hiapo, when it opened the way, everything was born after that. So at the ending, we give honor to the makahiapo. We give the puana, the conclusion, the puana. Yeah? Oia ho'i ha. Polo lei no ke lano o lelo o na kupuna. E ho haku kou lei maka ike no e au ka hiko. Ike no e au. Skilled knowledge. Ka hiko. Ka hiko ancient. Ka hiko more ancient. This is not something that was born yesterday. This was born so long ago in our ancient past. This ike that comes with hakulei, a hakumele. Yeah? And when I use the term ka hiko, I'm not only referring to the ancient past, but that this tradition is such a beloved tradition. It's like an adornment, a lei that we wear. Na mo'opuna, na iwi hanau o ka aina, na keiki hanau o ka aina. Hakumele is regal, it is royal, it is amazing. It comes from our ancient past. And those beautiful words, remember, ikaolelo ka mana. It is our mana that we adorn ourselves with. When we haku ikale, a ho'onani ikale. Haku ikamele, a ho'onani no ikaolelo. Ho'onani no ikaolelo. Make yourself beautiful with words. Mapopo no ya oko. You understand. E ho'o haku kou lei me ka ike no e au ka hiko. He lei mo'o o lelo. So it's a succession, mo'o o lelo, of words. It's a succession of histories. It's a succession of stories. Mai na kupuna mai from Papa and Wakea, from Ho'okalani, Mai ka hānau ana o haloa ke kalo. Mai ka hānau ana o haloa ke kanaka. Ke ia kumuhana ka haku ana o ka lei. Le ke pu me ka haku ana o ka lei pua a ka haku ana o ka lei o lelo. He velo velo mau me ka pono. Kala mai. Velo velo mau me ka pono. Velo velo, velo velo is to stream and flutter. That it perpetually stream and flutter. That it move from generation to generation. That it flutter and wave forever within the generations. That it live on as a group tradition, a group custom within our lahui. Velo velo mau, mekapono, with again the order, the akua, the aumakua, the kupuna, the makua, the opio, the keiki. And the order comes from above to us below. Think about that order, that pono, because I know we're still confused today about who the leaders of our people are. And when I write these mele, I try to put everything in proper perspective, because when we're going to talk about the pono, we have to know and understand and believe as a nation what the pono is. So I'm going to give you the pono one more time. O kamua ke akua. Malalo ke akua na aumakua. Malalo. Malalo iho na kupuna. The closest thing to aumakua and akua, kupuna. Makua o pio keiki. Mahope iho. Way behind. Way behind. So when we talk about spiritual beings and spiritual connections, yeah, think about that. Think about that. The living representations, maluno ki ia aina, e ola me ka lahui, o yo no o nā kupuna me ka ike NOEAU. Okay, so that was the third verse. We're coming now to the fourth verse. Pono no kauhana, kahaiana me ka puana, ulu no ka ike kupu kupu mau, mau no ka haku o na le aloha. Because now we went from le makamai, le mai ole. The haku haku o ka le, and now we're getting to le aloha. Why? Because when you hana one le o na pua nani like ole, first you have to hana me ke aloha, and then if it's for you, you ho'onani me ke aloha, ka hiko hiko me ke aloha, and then it's to give away ha'awi me ke aloha. Well, just like the lay of words, hana me ke aloha, yeah. And then if you like wea ho'onani me ke aloha o ka olelo, and then if you like give away ha'awi, ke ia lei o ka olelo me ke aloha. All right. So then aloha is the foundation, yeah, is what I'm trying to say, of haku mele. Pono no kauhana. So if you're following all the formats, yeah, if you're following all the traditions, if you're following all of that, yeah, and if you take into consideration and believe all of that, yeah, as the source of your haku mele, then pono no kauhana, then what you're doing is pono. Pono. Kahaiana, the telling. The telling through what? Well, when you weave a layer, you have to ha'i the pua, right? You break the flower, ha'i the pua, and then you take each flower and then you haku ikale. You format and then you break the lei. Ha'i. So you have to ha'i ka pua. So just like in the mele, we ha'i ika olelo. We have to cut the olelo and we have to put them. Ha'i no na pua no ka ho'okomo ana no ka ho'ohaku ana ikale. A ha'i no ka olelo no ka ho'okomo ana i ka haku ana o ka mele. And now we get the understanding. Pea ki ia ike. Oh, ka ike o ka haku mele, aia no ke la ike a i ka haku ona lei. Oia ho'i ha. Oia ho'i ha. Okay, so we come to ka ha'iana me ka puana. Again, remember the puana because pua, pua, yeah, a play on the word pua. Pua ana, blooming, flowering, ka pua ana. Okay, so what does that? Again, I told you about the makahiapo because the pauku ekahi is the makahiapo kamele, right? And because the pauku ekahi, when Hanau was born, then the other verses that would follow, like the kaikaina or kamakahiapo, yeah, in succession, yeah, they were born only because of the makahiapo. So the mele is pau, and then we have to honor again, yeah, the makahiapo of the mele. We have to. So we have to bring as we conclude that it was the makahiapo that when hanau ki iha mele, kahaiana a me kapuana. Ulu no, continue to grow. Ulu no. Ulu, inspiration. Yeah? Ulu ika mana'o, ulu kau, no ke akua ke la ulu. Ulu, ulu mau no. Ka ʻIKE, the wisdom, the knowledge, kupu kupu mau, and that it keep growing, keep increasing, you know, keep growing, keep increasing. You know, kahaiana me kapuana, we have to remember, yeah, the puana is also, you know, and this is why it makes sense, because that's to encompass, yeah, encompass. So in the last verse, you go back to the first verse and you bring everything into conclusion and you tell a story. It's a cycle. Like the le, pai no. Similar, the same. They match. Iloko o ke la kuleana, ka ike maupopopono. Ka ike maupopopono. Mau no ka haku o na le aloha. And as I explained, yeah, the lei aloha, that we continue with the traditions of haku mele and haku lei. We have to. So, children, ua pau me ke ia mea ha'i o lelo, ka ike NOEAU o HoʻOmau kupuna no ke la aina o he'i ia ke la ahupua'a. Ka ino o ko kupuna wahine o e hoi o iwa, wahine ali'i roen kana'e. No lākou no, a me nā kupuna kua kahi, haai o holani a kona, ka ike o nā kupuna kua lua o i hoi o wahine ali'i, nui no ka akamai no o ke la kupuna. No leila ki ia hoʻowehewehe ana ka mana'o, pili me nā mo'olelo kupuna wahine o tutu iwa kana'e. Me ke aloha nui a o ko mahalo.